Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Design Lounge. Today I'm going to be making this Minimalist Dots album poster. Did I say that right? Minimalist Dots album poster. Okay, perfect. I did say it right. I'm going to be using Adobe Illustrator and then maybe finishing some effects up in Adobe Photoshop. I'll show you exactly how I do the process from start to finish, and you can follow along if you'd like to, or if you just want to watch, then just watch. Before we get started, please remember to hit like and subscribe below, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. Now let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how I do the entire process from start to finish. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the My Bloody Valentine MBV cover. I figured that a lot of people use Loveless as an example, but I'm going to use MBV as an example because it's such a great album. All right, so the actual size of this document is going to be 18 by 24 inches. So let's go ahead and do our document in Photoshop. And I'm going to add in that extra 1/8 of an inch on all sides, so for a total of an extra 1/4 inch. And I think that as far as this goes, I'm going to go ahead and do the effect in a separate document. And I'm going to switch back and forth a little bit between Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. So let me get a couple of things just kind of laid out on the table real quick. I need to figure out exactly what size this is going to be as far as the album art goes. So if we push this all the way up to 18 inches and bring it in 2 inches on each side, so that's 4 inches total, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's going to be 14 by 14 inches as a square. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and resize this image, and we're going to bump it up to 300 resolution and 14 inches exactly. And from here at this point, we can go ahead and do our effect. So you don't necessarily have to do this, but I like to flatten the image. I just realized that I don't have Keycaster on, so let me turn that on for you so you can see my shortcuts. So what we're gonna do is we've got this size right here, and then I'm going to go up to filter and then go to pixelate and then on mosaic right here. So I figured that 100 pixel square should be a good size of this, but sometimes I like to adjust it like maybe 50 or 80 or something like that. You want it to be like a factor of 10. So something like that. And just kind of play around with it at first and just see, just to make sure that it's going to be recognizable. I think we can easily make it recognizable by doing 100. Okay, so now we're going to do we're going to create a new document. Command N to create a new document. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use the same size as what we used in the mosaic. So 100 by 100, perfect square. And then we're going to do Command 0 to get this all the way up to the largest size, and then just kind of back it off a little bit. I'm at 1600% right here. And then I'm going to bring a ruler right over here and drag it right to the center, and then do the same thing here for the y-axis. Okay, so now I'm going to do Shift and M on my keyboard. If you're already at the rectangular marquee tool, then you might need to then you will end up on the elliptical marquee tool. Just make sure that you're on the elliptical marquee tool, okay? And then click right here in the center while holding Option and Shift and drag out all the way to the edges, okay? And then hit Option Delete on your keyboard to fill it with black, and then Command D to deselect everything, and now do Command I to invert the colors. So now we've got a black background and a white foreground, and this is going to help us put together our mask that's going to go onto the layer, okay? So now we go up to Edit, Define Pattern, and I'm going to name this Circle 100 by 100, okay? So now we can go back to this file right here, and then we're going to go down here to Add Layer Mask. And then we are going to make sure that your mask is selected right here in that white box, and then hit Shift Delete. And we're going to fill it with a pattern, and we're going to choose the pattern that we just created. So that is Circle 100 by 100, and hit OK. All right. So now what we've done is we've created that mosaic, which is those 100 by 100 squares. But now what we've done is we've actually isolated each one of those squares to be circles individually, and then we're just going to add a black background color. So this right here is our is our art image that's going to go onto the poster itself. So I'm going to grab both of these and hit Command E. And now I'm going to drag this over to this file. Okay, we can delete that old layer 1 right there. And since we know that we are exactly at 2 inches all across the board, we can just center it right here. And then I'm going to do new guide layout. Oops, I need to make sure that those are inches right there. Okay. Cool. So now we can just go right there, and that is where our artwork is going. And we can leave this as a white background as well. So there's the image artwork that's very minimalist. It's literally made up of solid colors with a black background. So let's go into the Illustrator file, and this will help us put together our typography. Okay, so I'm going to move this down 2 inches, and what this will do is this will just kind of give us a frame of reference for what we're going to be doing as far as laying out the type. Okay, so because this album lays out all of its typography in lowercase, I'm going to do that exact same thing. Okay, and I think that I'm going to use maybe Space Grotesque. I actually do kind of like that font, and I think that it'll work well with this. Okay, so I'm going to select that, go to optical alignment, and I'm just going to align this right around here. And what I'm going to do at the end of this to make sure that we get the text placement exactly where we want it is I'll actually go in and create a shape that has no stroke and no fill, and that will actually copy over from Illustrator into Photoshop, so that way we can get exactly the placement that we want. All right, so My Bloody Valentine, and this actually I feel like the My Bloody Valentine should be probably 40 point right there, and then the album name itself probably about double that. Okay, and then let's grab this one here, and we'll push this away from that shape probably 1 inch. That sounds good. And then 1/4 of that for this one. Good. And if you're doing something similar on your end, then you can just you can obviously move these elements around however you want them. This is just really this is just me kind of throwing this together. And just as a side note, this is kind of like an Illustrator pro tip. If you notice that when I select these options right here, then what you can do is you can align to a key object. So make sure that you have all of these selected, and then click on the object that you want to align to. And if you're using text, I highly recommend going over here to your Align panel and clicking on the little hamburger icon and clicking on Align to Glyph Bounds. Make sure that point text and area text are both selected. And what that's going to do is that when you have all of these selected, it's going to align the actual glyph with this line itself, and it's going to do that with both of those. If you have those unselected, then it's going, or deselected, then it's gonna align the entire like type area of the element itself. So just kind of a pro tip there. All right. So for the year that it's released, I feel like we can easily just do that 40 point font right there. I just wanted to get it really on the board. And then we can align the baseline of this to MBV, so that's perfect. And as far as the tracks go, what we'll do is I will create a couple of boxes. And this will be helpful. Like, this kind of thing is helpful for if you ever want to kind of replicate this and you want to use it for something else. I'll kind of show you exactly what I'm doing here in a second. So let's go ahead and get these exactly the way that we want them. And I want them to be, like right here in the center. So each one probably 7 inches, maybe. Yeah, looks good. I might leave a ½ inch between them. So, sorry. Minus ½ inch, and then minus ½ inch. If you didn't know that you could do math inside of the transform fields right here, you do now. It's pretty cool. Like you can select one, and say if you wanted to increase this by 1 inch, you just hit +1, and it adds an inch to it. So that's pretty awesome. Another pro tip for you. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create text boxes out of both of these, and we're going to link them together. Okay, so go ahead and hold down on your type tool and go to area type tool. Click on both of these. Okay, and now select both of them, go up to type and threaded text and hit create. Now they are linked together. Okay, so now let's align all of this to the left side, and let's make this probably 20 point. We'll just kind of see how that looks once we get that all done. And I'm going to go in here and get the track list for this album. There's everything there, and there's a lot of things here that we just kind of have to parse out, which is not a big deal. So take just a couple of seconds to do, but so whenever you're working, like whenever you're bringing text in from anything, I highly recommend putting it inside of like a text-based document first. That way it strips out all of the formatting, and you don't have to worry about any kind of weird formatting or anything like that. It just kind of gets rid of all of that for you. Okay, and now we'll bring this over here into Illustrator. And we have, how many tracks? We have 9 tracks. So what I like to do is probably do like the first 5, and then we'll push the last 4 over to the second box. And I'm thinking that 30 points is probably a good size. So let's add our numbers onto here. And for this one here, what we're gonna do is I'm just going to go to the end of this one and just hit delete, and it'll bring those up. Okay. Okay. So now, and also too, if you're like just kind of a side note, if you've never listened to this album, I highly recommend giving it a listen because it is awesome, especially if you're a shoegaze fan. If you're not a shoegaze fan, then I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing even talking to you, but definitely give this album a listen if you're into shoegaze, or if you like rock in general, then explore shoegaze because it's awesome. All right, and I can say that as a certified geek. Okay, all right. So now we've got the album title, the artist name, the year that it was released, and then the track list right here. So this is your basic file that you've got set up, and if you want to do anything beyond this, then all of that text is still editable. So as I said before, what we're going to do to make sure that we get the placement correct, exactly where it needs to be when we copy it over into Photoshop, is I'm going to create a rectangle tool right here, and as you can see, there's no fill and there's no stroke. So go up here to the top left corner and draw all the way from the top all the way down to the bottom right. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this little square because we don't need that anymore. That was just there as a reference point. So now we're going to hit copy and bring this over into Photoshop. And I'm going to paste it as a smart object so that if I ever need to go back in there and make edits to it, then I can easily do that. Oh, what happened there? That's weird. Okay. For some reason, when I align it vertically, then it has some kind of a problem, and I don't really know why. It's okay. Not a big deal, though. Okay. So here is our here's our poster for it, and I think that as far as effects go, I don't think we need much. So I'm just going to add like maybe a slight grain layer. So go up. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So what I did was I created a new layer. Okay, go up to and I added. Sorry, I named it grain. Sorry, it's been a long day. I just got back from with my family. We went to the zoo today, and like it was so hot out there. It was crazy. So we're all very tired. All right, so I've got my grain layer right here, and I'm going to do Shift Delete, and I'm going to fill it with 50% gray. Hit OK. Go up here to Filter and Camera Raw Filter, and I'm thinking that I might actually do a vignette right here. So we're only going to do a little bit of grain. So as far as the level goes, probably around 30 something like that. Size and roughness we'll kind of leave, you know, as default at 25 and 50. And then for the vignette, let's see, should we do -50? I don't know, let's give it a shot. And then just change the blending mode. So as you can see, it applies a very I don't even know if you can see that, honestly. But what I'll do here is I'll add a solid color layer underneath. This will kind of help see it a little bit better. I think we might do like a little bit of a coloration right here. And in fact, it's so subtle that I don't even know if you can see it. I'm going to turn the brightness all the way up on my screen. It's a little bit too subtle, actually. So I think that maybe we can do something like vivid light. Let's see. Linear light is way too much. Of course, we could also go in and tone down that opacity as well. Usually I go straight to overlay with it, but I just want to see what all the options are. So I think that I'm probably going to go with either overlay or soft light. Overlay is easier to see it, but you know, really at the end of the day, it's a very subtle effect. So, all right, so here is this Minimalist Dots album poster, and so I did MBV by My Bloody Valentine. Wow, say that 5 times fast. So started in Illustrator, ended up in Photoshop, did a couple of little very subtle effects. But what's really cool about this is that I can actually set up an action set to do this exact same dot effect with any album cover that I want. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video with showing you how to do an action for that as well. And then, of course, the file itself, all I got to do is double-click on the smart object, and it takes me into Illustrator, and then I can go in and change all of the text, hit save, and then come right back to Photoshop, and it's right there waiting for me. So let me know what you think about this down in the comments, and thanks for watching. All right, well, like I said, thanks a lot for watching. If you did like this video, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. I am on my way out of here to go see the new Top Gun movie, so I will see you next time. Bye-bye.